Hello and welcome to the Fixit Shed. So I want to do an oil change on my 2004 Honda Rebel, but the motorcycle also has almost 14,000 miles on it, and you should clean the oil screen every 8,000 miles. So I don't know, I just picked up this motorcycle, so I don't know if it's been done. So while I'm changing the oil, I'm also going to clean the oil screen. Also, the previous owner complained of the clutch slipping. So I looked on Amazon and I could actually get a clutch pack for about a little over 20 bucks. So while I have the cover off and cleaning the oil screen, I'm also going to put a new clutch in it. So before I actually start working on the bike, you need to soak the clutch in oil. Some people say as little as an hour, some people say overnight, some people say 16 hours. So I'm going to soak it and let it soak for a couple of hours and before I install it. Alright, so here's the new clutch, and so we want to soak the pads, and I actually have a container that it's all going to fit in very nicely. It used to be an old coconut oil container that I cut in half, but let's get this apart so that the oil can more easily access the pads here. These are actually a little bit oil soaked, so that's good. Alright, so you just want to make sure that you're soaking these pads, because the first time that starts up, you don't want it to burn up the pads and glaze them over. Put those back on there. Okay, now everything's covered. So now we're going to let that soak for a couple hours. Alright, so on the bike, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to drain the oil. So the drain plug is underneath on the left hand side of the motorcycle. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and clean up the area a little bit, just to keep any grit from getting in there that I don't want. All right. And now we have a 17 millimeter nut. I'll loosen that. Alright, and I'm going to let that drain for a while, because that not only drains the engine oil, but that's also used for the transmission, and I want to make sure that we get as much of it out as we can. Okay, so I let that drain for quite a while. It's actually the next day, and we're going to put the drain plug back in. And now we want to get this cover off. Okay, I'm going to remove this floorboard, foot peg, whatever, just to make it a little bit easier. You can probably get away without doing it, but. Okay, so now we want to disconnect the clutch cable. So I'm going to loosen this top nut here. And let's see, can we drop that down now? Close. There it goes. All right, so that's unhooked. There's a little tab here. I don't think, probably not going to get it open by pulling on it, but you can, we get a piece of wood and tap it from the other side. Does this work? Yeah. This stayed in. How about that? Sometimes this piece will fall out, but that stayed in. Good deal. All right, and then we have the clutch here, and we have the oil pump over here. Now we need to get all of this green gasket off. All right, I'm gonna leave the stuff around here alone for now because I'm gonna be removing the oil pump to get at the screen here. So then that'll be out of the way and that'll be easier to clean off. All right, let's get the oil pump out. Alright, these 3 screws should be pretty tight and not loosenable with a Phillips screwdriver. Yeah. Alright. So, we're going to use the impact screwdriver. Okay, so it's about 2 weeks later, and I've put the oil pump back together because it's not coming apart. So I've tried my impact screwdriver, I tried heat, and nothing seems to make them want to budge, and I don't want to damage them. So there isn't really anything wrong with the oil pump right now, so I'm going to leave that alone. So it looks like I should be able to get this rubber cover off without removing the oil pump, and I've read online where people say that you can. So this one feels pretty hard, like it's not really soft rubber anymore. So that's why it's 2 weeks later, because I ordered a new one. All right, so let's see if we can get the old one off and flip the screen over, clean it, and put it on the new gasket. All right, see if we can't pop that down. Yeah, this is pretty hard. So that's why I got a new one. Yeah, that's breaking. There. That came out not too bad. Alright. Yeah, definitely no good anymore. So as you can see, it does have some schmutz in here. And as you can see, they are kind of tapered, and this part goes towards the back, so it just kind of slides in and should just slip up over the end of the oil pump there. Alright, that's all nice and clean. And let's see if we can work this back in there. Okay, that looks like that's back on all the way around. Yep. Looks like it's all in place, looking good. Okay, now let's get the old clutch out. Okay, so right in here they did dimple this little ring, and you have to pry that out so that you can get the nut out here. So that's going to fit in right like that. We got to turn that out. Alright, I'm just going to use a little screwdriver and maybe a hammer to try and tap it in there a little bit. Alright. Okay, so another little intermission because I thought I had the right tool. This came with some Rebel parts that I bought 15 years ago, and I thought I had the right size, but it was kind of loose and I didn't want to take a chance on breaking anything, so I went out and I bought the right one. This is a much snugger fit, so that's better. There you go. Alright, and then there's a washer in here. And this washer actually tells you on it. It has stamped on it, it says outside, so you know which side faces out. Alright, and then we should be able to slide all of this out. There we go. Alright, anyway, so I'm going to take these off. Set them down. Alright, and then we're going to go ahead and stack the new ones on there. So, okay, yeah. So these have been soaking in oil now for about 3 weeks, just because of delays. So they're, I am sure, plenty well soaked. I don't know which is going to be easier, to put the clutch pieces on here or to put them in here and then slide this on. I'm going to try putting them on here first. Let's see. All right, so those are all on there. And let's see. Okay. And now let's see if we can get this on here. We're doing pretty good. Alright, so it's not quite seated yet. Let's see. There goes. That's pretty good, I think. I think we're seated all the way down. Alright. Now we need our washer. Okay. and the nut. Okay, so now I can see where the little dent was that was holding it in place, and the groove is right over here. So I'm just going to turn this back around. That should put us at the same torque, the same way as it was from the factory. So, just going to go gently, just a little bit more. A little bit more. Getting there. All right, that's back at the same spot. So now we're just gonna dent that back down to lock it in place. Okay, that'll keep it from backing off. All right, put the springs back on. And let's see. And you want to be careful when you're tightening these up. You don't want to. You want to kind of tighten them up evenly as they go in. You don't want to tighten one side down first, because this is aluminum and it will break. All right, and then these need to be torqued down, so I'm gonna go get my torque wrench. All right, so these need to be tightened down to 6 or 7 foot-pounds. So. That's 6, 7. Oops. All right. Okay. All right, those are all between 6 and 7 foot-pounds. This back on, goes there. Okay, and we're going like that. Okay. And we got the 2 alignment pins. One over here and one on this side. Boom. Okay, so let's get this cable back in place. That. Now we need to torque these to between 7 and 8 pounds, foot-pounds of torque. So, 7.5. Seven and a half. 7.5. 7.5. 7.5. 7.5. 7.5. Alright, so while the camera was off, I did put the floorboard back on. Alright, so we're almost done. We just need to put some oil in it, and I'm going to put some, make sure you're using motorcycle oil, motorcycle specific oil, because new car oils have additives and they will make the transmission slip. So make sure you're using a motorcycle one. I was recommended to use 20W50, so that's what I'm going to put in here. So, and that's good, and unless you're riding in really, really cold winter weather, you know, then you could go down to like a 1040 or something like that. But for most of the summertime driving, which is what most people do, a 2050 is just fine. All right, so the Rebel takes 1.5 liters or 1.6 quarts. So I'm going to pour this in until it has a little bit more than 2.5 quarts left in the jug, because it's a 4-quart jug, and then we're going to check it. When you check the oil in the Rebel, it needs to be upright. Oops. And the dipstick, you just put it in. You don't screw it back in. You just put it in and you pull it out and you see if there's anything on there. And there's nothing on there yet. So we're gonna keep pouring. And we are full right up to the top of the hash marks. So that's right where you want it to be. And I'm gonna snug up. You can see the cable is a little bit loose, so I'm gonna turn this out to tighten it. Take up any play in there. Alright, and then tighten that down so that it doesn't come loose. And then we can put the cover back on. There we go. Alright, so the clutch is all back together. Alright, so in the excitement of doing the clutch and cleaning the oil screen, I almost forgot to do the puke tube. So that is underneath the bike here, and we're going to try and work this out a little bit. Alright, and there we go. So it's just this tube that's underneath. It has a cap and a hose clamp, and we're going to get that off and see if there's anything in there and empty it out. The hose on my O2 is clear. I think this one actually was clear also, but we're going to get the cap off and move this hose clamp up. There we go. hose clamp up. Now, if you can't, there it goes. This one's gonna pull out, and blah. There's a bunch of glop that comes out. So if you can't get the plug out, sometimes just using a heat gun to warm it up a little bit, that'll soften up the rubber and enable you to pull the plug out. All right. All right, now we can put the hose clamp back on. All right. And we're going to put this back up in this loop up here. Keep it out of the way. Always good to do that every time you change the oil. Alright, so we got the oil changed, cleaned out the oil screen, put in a new clutch, and emptied the puke tube. So that's quite a bit for one video, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, and please be sure to subscribe. Thanks for watching. Take care.